Hello everybody and welcome back to Robert's Reviews. Today is Friday, and so I do new releases and stuff, and that is one of those days. So if you guys like new releases, I do as many new releases as I can on Fridays, and I have a video coming out every single week, so please consider subscribing. It's really easy. You just minimize the video and then hit the little red button at the bottom. That'd be a huge help. But today, we just finished watching Monday earlier, and I released that, so if you guys are interested in looking at that review, that is available on the channel now. And without further ado, let's go ahead and start talking about Jakob's wife. Jakob's Wife was released in 2021. It was written by Kathy Charles, Mark Steensland, and Travis Stevens, and it was directed by Travis Stevens. Now, before we go further, no spoilers, of course. That's a rule, no spoilers in my reviews. But I want to mention, I don't typically like vampire movies for a variety of reasons. They all seem very cliche to me. They all kind of fit into this vampire movie genre, right? It's a horror movie, sure, but it's also specifically a vampire movie, which I think is important because there's so many vampire movies out there, and they're all very similar, right? And I just think it's not fair to the vampire genre, right, that we don't go past these boundaries, okay? Because we're at this point now where we can really mess things up. We can go ahead and push those boundaries of what is a vampire movie, right? Vampires are fake, right? They're made up. We can do what we want with them. Why are we assuming that just because you're a vampire you have to have sharp teeth and you have to do this, that, there's blood everywhere? It can be something a little more different and still be a vampire movie, right? And this movie, in my opinion, isn't very different than other films that are vampire films, okay? There are some aspects that I really liked about this film that are different, right? Particularly, I really liked Barbara Crampton's character, and I like the idea that it's based on her image of herself rather than the fact that it's a vampire, right? Because most vampire movies are like, hey, there's a vampire, what do we do? Kill it, right? This one's more like, wow, it's a vampire, but does she want to stay a vampire, or does she want to, kill people? Like, how is that gonna, what exactly how is that affecting the relationship here? Which I think is a really cool idea. However, I don't think it was done particularly well. I don't like the series of events that happen, right? I don't think you had enough in the beginning, because the beginning was really good. I liked the way it was shot, I liked the way it looked, I liked the way it felt, right? There was no music, it was just church and just pans of stuff, and we were getting to know the area, getting to know the characters, and we didn't really get to know a whole lot about Anne before she got bit by the vampire. And so it's at the point where if we had a little bit more in the beginning, it'd have been good, right? Because most of the film is her as a vampire, okay? But I don't care, okay? Because to me, she's always been the girl as a vampire, because that's most of the movie. But to Anne, of course, it's not, right? We have to assume she's not been a vampire for this long. So it's I feel like we don't get that weight that she does, right? Because I'm over here I don't really get what the big deal is. Just take care of the vampire to be fine. But she wants to remain the vampire because she likes the change that she has, which is great, but I don't think it's explained particularly well, particularly until the last end of the film where they actually kind of discuss it a little bit. And it's if you talked about it any earlier, it might have had a bigger impact on the audience, in my opinion. Also, the special effects, not great. I don't like the overdone blood and the overdone weird gushes that don't make any sense logically. It does bother me when things are just completely outrageous for no reason. Oh, it's a horror movie? Okay. Gallons of blood. And it's no, it's not. If you stab me in the neck, it's not going to go for literally minutes. So I don't understand why people do that, and it really just kind of takes me out of the film when I see over-the-top effects like that. But then they spend a lot of money on that, I assume, because then the rats weren't very good. There's this part in the very beginning of the film, right, where there's just rats climbing on a person, and it looks really bad. It's some of the worst CG I've seen in a while. It looks like they just took still frames of the rats and just kind of cropped them in on the thing, which is fine. I mean, if it's an indie film, I get it. But it's also just don't do it. If you it wouldn't have been that different if the rats weren't crawling on him, is the big thing. And it's don't try to do things you can't do, or spend less budget on the crazy amount of fake blood that you had and put some more towards the CGI, because the blood wasn't really needed either. Not all of it. So it's we could have probably taken a little bit of that and put it over there, and I think it might have been a little bit more valuable to the film. As for the acting, this is start with Barbara Crampton as Anne. really, I think this is her film, right? She's having so much fun. You can tell. You're watching her, and she's having so much fun. She's like, yes, this is my movie. And it really is fun to watch. And I think she's great. I really do. I think she's got the quiet, that submissive personality to begin with in the beginning of the film, which is important because you have to be submissive in the beginning in order to sell the fact that like she's just Jacob's wife by the end, which I get, I understand, and I think it works really well. I think she really was great. There's a couple other actors I think would have done better, but due to the fact it's probably a lower budget film, I should say, I get it, and I think she's really wonderful. I think it was a good choice. And Larry Fessenden as Pastor Jacob, I think he was really good. I think he might have even been better than Anne, even though I think that her character is more important and more thought out. I really liked his performance in particular because he has to be the bad guy while not being the bad guy, which is kind of impressive. Because he is being oppressive to her, but also there's a vampire, which is arguably more of a big deal than him, although the film doesn't make it feel that way because it's not supposed to. So I kind of like that they were able to play with the balance there. Overall, it's an okay movie. I think it's fun. I think that a lot of gore people are going to love it. I think a lot of horror fans are going to really like it. I don't really like it very much. I'm not a huge horror guy. I'm not a huge blood guy. I like it when it's well done. I just don't really particularly think it was well done. Although I do appreciate the film for trying to attack some of those more personal and relationable issues, right? Like domestic issues where the man is impressing on the female, and it doesn't have to be that way. And I like that it did try to attempt to work on those, and I think it worked pretty well. I do think the message got across pretty clearly by the end of the film that was kind of the point of the film, which I liked, and I do appreciate it. As for it being a vampire film, I don't even necessarily think it had to be a vampire film. I would have been more interested about the fact that she's being oppressed by the man. Maybe making him the bad guy might have been better, but I don't know, maybe that's just me. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give Jacob's Wife a B. It's a pretty good film. If you guys are interested in that kind of thing, definitely check it out. I rented it on Fandango now for $7. I do like their platform. It's really easy to use and really nice. So make sure you guys check that out. And that's going to do it for me today. Please consider subscribing. Please consider liking the video, sharing the video, everything you guys got to do. And as always, keep watching movies and television, stay educated, and I'll see you guys in the next video.